Now, welcome again. We are going to bring a little bit of a happy face to the previous scenario that we mentioned in the last presentation with the sick vegetarians, acid vegetarians. We are going to talk about Dr. pH and what Dr. pH can do for us. What he can actually do is can give us and provide for us, through the right food, provide for us more access to oxygen. Without oxygen, there is no life, and our cells thrive with oxygen. So, food items that are actually providing for us a good pH, that are helping maintaining the pH, and they're not taxing our bodies, they're not demanding from our bones to buffer our blood pH and so on. They're actually contributing with their oxygen-providing elements, life to our cells, energy, etc. Okay? We're going to have a look at some of those. Lemon or apple cider vinegar. Now, some people say to me, hold on a second, you just said that these items will actually be helping us to maintain a good intercellular pH. Yes, they will. Are they not acid forming? No, they're not. But that's lemon. Yeah, but we're not talking about the lemon itself. We're talking about what the lemon does at cellular level. And remember that residue, that ash that we mentioned before in the previous program, that ash, that's residue that is either alkaline forming or acid forming? Well, the lemon at cellular level produces an ash, and that ash is alkaline forming. Same as apple cider vinegar. Now, notice that I specify apple cider vinegar and not wine vinegar. You know, and many people use wine vinegar or basmati vinegar over their salad, and we have entire culture, the Italian culture that uses balsamic vinegar and so on. The wine vinegar does the opposite. It's actually acid forming. The apple cider vinegar is alkaline forming, very much similar to the lemon. So what did I do in my house? Well, we have a lemon tree. It gives us lemons about 10 months a year. It's a very faithful lemon tree. Very good lemon tree. It gives us lemons for about 10 months a year. But 2 months a year, it doesn't give us lemons at all. Or they're just very small, very green. And I don't know here in New Zealand, but in Australia, when my lemon tree is not giving lemons, it seems like lemons have become the golden prize of the empire. And you go there, and after grabbing the lemons from your own lemon tree, costing you nothing, and you go to the shops and you see these ugly looking lemons there, a little bag there with 4 or 5 lemons and a tremendous price tag on it, you go, oh, no way. So those are the 2 times of the year, the 2 months of the year, when in the morning with my warm water I put a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay, and there are good brands there that they call that they haven't been pasteurized, and they have what they call the mother in it. Okay, so we use that as an alkalining the water. Now, talking about water just for a second, if you're actually drinking a water that is an acidic water, especially if you're living in a country area and you drink from your water tank, you might like to actually check the pH on that water. Because if the pH of that water is 4, what kind of water do you have? Alkaline or acidic? Acidic. So, how much access to that oxygen in the water you are going to have? Very little. Very little. So you are drinking, and you're drinking your 2 liters a day, as is recommended, but your cells are starving for oxygen. Why? Because the pH of your water is too low. How do you rise up the pH on your water? I mean, assuming that your water doesn't have any bacteria in it and anything like that, how do you actually rise the pH in your water? Squeeze a lemon in it. You squeeze a lemon in it, and it will actually rise up the effect alkalinity in your system. You know, in the old days, when somebody will serve you the water, will just cut a little section of a lemon and will put the section of the lemon inside the water jar. That's beautiful. It just doesn't just look good and beautiful, but actually is good and beautiful. Okay? So, how much lemon, people ask me? So, it all depends. If you are unemployed, half a lemon. If you are full-time employed, an entire lemon. Why? Oh, the cost, yeah. So unemployed, half a lemon. Employed, a full lemon. In the morning, warm water, you squeeze the lemon, and you drink it like that. People say, oh, when I do that, my arthritis just kills me. Just kills me. So what do? Well, you might not start with half a lemon. You might start with just 3 or 4 drops. Or you might actually try apple cider vinegar to start with. What happens is that the lemon is actually creating a state of affairs in your cleansing system that is making your rheumatoid arthritis a bit challenging for you. Okay? So you might start just adding a few drops to the water or just a little bit of apple cider vinegar. And you just actually alkalinize your system. By alkalinizing your system, you get more oxygen. By getting more oxygen, you have more access to fight free radicals. And at the same time, you will age in a more slower pace and so forth. Okay? Green leafy vegetables. Everything that looks green is green or appears to be camouflaged by green. Okay? So, green leafy vegetables, your lettuce, your spinach, rocket, kale, so many things there. So many things there. Now, how much vitamin C is in lettuce? Well, the correct answer is depends. If I go to my veggie patch, because we have a veggie patch, if I go to my veggie patch, I get the lettuce and I go to my kitchen and wash them. How many times do you ought to wash the lettuce? 3? No, only until they clean. Because if you wash them 3 times and they still got things in it, no, you wash the lettuce until they clean, right? So I just got them from the veggie garden. I wash them until they clean, and then I put it in my salad bowl, and then I eat it. I have lots of vitamin C in it. If I am a worker in an Asian country, and I just harvest your lettuce, place them in a container, take them into a truck. The truck goes into a shipping container. The shipping container goes into a big boat. The big boat comes all the way to New Zealand. Then from then it goes into a truck. From the truck goes into a depot. From the depot goes into your main shopping center. And from your main shopping center goes into your display. And then 3 days later you walk and you buy it. How much vitamin C do you have in those lettuce? Very little. Very little lettuce. So how easy it is to plant lettuce and kale and so on in your backyard? Extremely easy. Extremely easy. I don't have one of those green thumbs, and I still can manage to plant lettuce. Okay? So just making you aware, we will talk about soil quality too later on in future programs, but just making you aware that just because they are green leafy vegetables, you also need to make sure that they're fresh and preferably closer to home as possible and preferably organic. Preferably. Not everybody can afford it, but everybody can afford a packet of seeds and plant them. Vegetables and fruits in general. Those are actually alkaline forming. Okay? Pure water, and we mentioned about the pH of the water before, so we'll move along. Activated ground nuts, especially walnuts, almonds, and Brazil nuts. Now, how many here know what an activated nut is? A few of them. Okay, how many has no idea what an activated nut is? All right, good. I won't tell you until a few presentations after. So you still need to come and see what an activated nut is. I'll tell you what, if it's not activated, it might not actually be alkaline forming nut. Some nuts might actually do the opposite if they're not activated. Broad beans, green beans. They're legumes, but they are on the green state. They are alkaline forming plant-based items. Sesame seed, also a very good source of tryptophan. Tryptophan is a precursor of serotonin, the feel-good hormone. Is also serotonin a precursor of melatonin, the sleeping good hormone. And many people today, rather than taking a sleeping pill, what are they taking? A few drops of melatonin. So they can actually sleep well. If you eat sesame seed or sesame paste like tahini, you're actually having a good source of tryptophan, which is a precursor, it's an amino acid, and it's a precursor of serotonin. Okay, so it's a good source for the feel-good. Another source of that is actually walnuts. So if you get walnuts and sesame seed, you'll have that feel-good precursor for serotonin, which is tryptophan. Do you want to feel good? Yes? Okay. Quinoa, buckwheat, amaranth. Recently, I actually had an amaranth breakfast. Very recently. In my home, we actually pop the amaranth and we have it with a little bit of honey, and we cook some porridge with amaranth. Now, let me talk a little bit about those two items, amaranth and quinoa. Amaranth, to start with, is a pseudo grain. Quinoa is a pseudo grain, and buckwheat is a pseudo grain. You know what that means? That there are no grains. What's the difference between a grain and a seed? Well, grains come from the grass family. Okay? So wheat is a grass. Corn is a grass. Rice is a grass. Barley is grass. Rye is grass. They all come from the grass family. However, buckwheat looks more, as you plant it, looks more like silver beet. Amaranth looks more like spinach. And so does quinoa. See, that's the difference between a grain and a seed. A grain, but this, however, the quinoa, the buckwheat, and the amaranth, they call pseudograins because they have grain-like properties. In other words, you can do a porridge with that. You can actually cook it like rice. You can actually make flour out of them. You can actually make like flour. You can do quinoa flour and buckwheat flour and amaranth flour. Now, if you have a baby and you've been feeding that baby with breast milk, and now you want to introduce that baby into solids, normally you give a banana or a mashed pear or whatever. When you want to start introducing a bit more solids to it, one of the wonder pseudograins is actually amaranth. Some people move a baby from feeding the baby breast milk and then, it's all enough, give him a piece of bread. You know what you just done? You just jumped from 0 to 100 in that baby's digestive system. So amaranth is an excellent source of plant-based protein, excellent source of amino acids, and very easy to assimilate by the baby's digestive system once he already starts into solids. Okay? So it's a very tiny little pseudograin that has flour-like properties. You can make flour and you can have amaranth pancakes. Or you can have the same with quinoa. Quinoa will actually be the second step up to that baby introduction to solids and porridges and so on. So you have your amaranth, you can have flour, you can have flour from the quinoa and make like a porridge out of that quinoa for the baby. Excellent source of complete essential amino acids, the quinoa. It used to be said that complete amino acids profile only comes in animal products, your meats, your eggs, your milk. Now we know that things like quinoa or things like maca have entire profile of amino acids, essential and non-essential. Okay? Other seeds, which one will they be? That will be your sunflower seeds, your pumpkin. Now, especially in Australia, you want to rely a little bit on your pumpkin seeds because Australia is depleted in zinc. Now, do a favor for me. Would you check your nails? Do you see any white spots on your nails? Beside that half a moon. any white spots, don't raise your hand. If you see any white spots, more likely you are actually zinc deficient. If we were in Australia, most probably you'll have people here raising their hands. Because Australia has lots of zinc. You know where? Around the coast. Not in the inland of the coast, on the water side of the coast. Everything has been washed away. Okay? So things like pumpkin seeds are a very good source of zinc. Okay? You know what pumpkin seeds too also do? They kill worms in the intestine. So if you have visitors in the basement, pumpkin seeds help with that too. Certain oils and honey. Now, when we're talking about certain oils, later on we will specify it a bit further, especially when we're talking about free radicals and what oils are actually doing to you as a vegetarian to make you look older, feel wasted, and lack of energy. Certain oils will do that. But certain oils will be good alkaline forming items. For instance, the oil that you get out of an avocado, the oils that you get out of nuts, out of olives, and some cold pressed oils like olive oil, okay, and honey. You here in New Zealand, you're privileged with the honey. You have a very, very sweet country. And it's a blessing that you have here. Plus at least 10 more. I'll tell you the 10. A positive thinking. Joy and peace. Forgiveness. Agape love. Smiling and sense of humor. Hope and faith. Healthy stress, because stress is needed. You all understand that stress is needed. The stress is the one that wakes you up in the morning. There's a certain level of stress. I remember years ago, in the running of the bulls that happened in my town, every town in Spain has the running of the bulls. There's one famous one that appears on TV every year, but every town has it. And my little town had one. And in town there was a man that had a problem with alcohol. He would just get drunk too easy, and he was the drunkard of the town. And all of a sudden, I don't know how, he ended up inside the barriers where the running of the bulls was going to happen. And the man was walking that he was just dragging his foot along, and he was all drunk. Until it was like he could not move an inch. He was just he just had it. Until he turned around and he saw the bulls. And everybody was watching. When he saw the bulls, that man knew how to run, friends. He ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. See, stress was positive for him, wasn't it? Very positive. And then he just arrived to this place where there was a window. And to the amazement of everyone, he just jumped against the wall. We thought he was going to jump against the window and get hold of the window and the bars of the window and rise up. But he actually jumped straight against the wall. And then he got hit by the bull. When the bulls just passed, people went to help him. And he said laughing, "Well, I saw 2 windows. And I saw 2 bulls. I jumped to the wrong window. And I got hit by the right bull. But the stress made him run." So stress, if it is taken as a positive, it is a positive thing. We had 2 dogs. One was a lazy little boy. The other one was always on the go, always on the go. They were just 1 year apart. When he turned 11 and she turned 10, we had friends coming over and said, "Oh, you got a puppy dog and an old dog." I said, No, it's only 1 year apart. "Oh, really? Well, he looks very old. She looks very young." What made the difference? exercise and he was joyful and happy and active. There is a level of stress that is needed, okay, to make you look healthier and happier and younger, okay? And my dog, my female dog, actually revealed that to me. You know, we need to have certain amount of activity and stress in a healthy manner to maintain us healthy, okay? Kindness and meekness. Physical exercise. I need to press a point there with the physical exercise. I come across too many vegetarians that they lecture me on diet. But if we go and just walk up the hill, they puffing and puffing and puffing. And I don't know if you're ready for what I'm going to share this. For what I'm going to share now. But there is now current studies that actually share that a vegetarian with all the benefits that the vegetarian diet brings, a vegetarian that does not have regular physical exercise and is unfit is more likely to get disease than a smoker that keeps fit. Hey, what about that one? A smoker that runs every day and is active and he gets his push bike and he goes up the hill and up the mountain or whatever is less likely to suffer from high cholesterol and from a stroke than a vegetarian that is sitting down in his sofa and is unfit. So we're talking about sick vegetarians and the nutrient connection, and physical exercise is part of the plan. And if we don't see it as part of the plan, then you have a very much incomplete plan. And of course, fresh air and proper breathing posture. You know, we have many of the breathing is like this, or sitting down in the sofa. The entire thing is bringing oxygen into our cells that, combined with the nutrients, will actually burn out the energy that we need. But if we provide in a lot of nutrients and then we don't know how to breathe properly and how to keep a right posture, you know, some people, as I am, they are vegetarians and they are creationists. So in other words, they believe in that we don't come from the monkey. We actually come straight from the hand of God as made in His image. However, sometimes I question why, if we don't believe that we come from the monkey, we tend to just be lazy enough not to actually put our shoulders back and get good air, fresh air into our body. Air is food. Did you know that? Air, fresh air, and the oxygen that comes in it is actually food. So is the nitrogen. Because as you know, the air outside has more nitrogen than oxygen. So the nitrogen also is utilized by the body in many functions. So air is food, and we need to have access to the food by bringing our shoulders back and have access to proper breathing and to proper air into our system. With those, positive attitude, positive thinking, forgiveness, and so on, now is when you can actually sit down at a table, get a plate of healthy, alkaline-forming food, and say, oh, what a blessing. I'm going to enjoy this meal. And that meal will go further than you arguing with your husband, arguing with your wife, arguing with your children, and you said, everything is, nobody hears me in this house. And now you're going to eat a healthy meal? No. The nutrition has been disqualified by your attitude. Your attitude disqualifies the outreach of that nutrition into your body. When we eat, we need to eat with thanksgiving and rejoicing in our heart for that nutrition to go further. We cannot allow the guy with the ice cream to enjoy more the ice cream than us to enjoy a healthy meal. And we need to do it with rejoicing in our hearts. Every time that I eat, I have to make sure that there's nothing against my son, there's nothing against my oldest son, my 2 daughters, and my youngest son, and especially not against my dear queen. That he has spent the time to present to me a beautiful plate. I give her a kiss. After I pray for the food and give thanks for that food. And then I give her a kiss and thank her also for that. And that in itself satisfies already a big part of that meal. It's already preparing my system to receive it. It's preparing my well to receive the well of goodness from that plate. And then we masticate properly. Did you know that your stomach doesn't have any teeth? You cannot get the nutrition from those foods if you don't actually masticate those foods. We'll talk about more in coming up presentations. Thank you. Until then.